Hey, thanks for listening to this Coach's Spotlight episode on FITLETE Radio. My name is George Pagan III. Let's meet our coach.
My name is Adam Badger. I have a company called Badger Strength. I think company can be a strong word for it. It's me. I am the sole employee and owner. I have been a trainer for 11 years. I started out as an in-person trainer, and I still do in-person coaching to this day, about 22 to 25 appointments a week. And I also have an online coaching business that focuses more on the nutrition, mindset, and habit building part of things. Most importantly, though, I am a dad and a husband. I've been married to my wife, Meg, for almost 6 years. I have a 4.5-year-old son named Carter and a 1-year-old daughter named Winnie. And everything I do with my business, with my health, is all with the intention of giving them the best life possible.
I know you're an awesome coach and take your job seriously, but to get to know you a little bit more, can you tell us a funny story about your life that happened outside of coaching?
So this isn't really a funny story per se, but it is something interesting, which is my entire childhood, all I wanted to do was be a professional wrestler. So think like WWF, WWE. So that honestly informed why I got started with working out in the first place, was wanting to be a wrestler. So I started working out when I was a young kid and pursued that. I didn't go to college. I graduated high school early, all in pursuit of, hey, I'm going to pursue professional wrestling. So that ended up with me pursuing professional wrestling. So I started training for it when I was about 18 years old, and I did the independent circuit for, honestly, from age 19 till about 26. So a solid 7 years traveling around mainly the Northeast. I'm from New York, so wrestling in New York, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, all like small independent things. But there's a lot of funny stories under that umbrella. Lots of long car rides for little to no money. Driving 5 hours, getting paid $20 to wrestle in front of 100 people, and then driving 5 hours back through the night. So yeah, just a lot of stuff like that happened. But it's something interesting about me, and for me, as a coach, it really created the foundation for patience and work ethic and being willing to put up with a lot of BS in hopes of something paying off. And I kind of take that into my practice as a coach.
We can't train everyone exactly the same. Our clients come to us having different life experiences and sometimes force us to think outside the box when it comes to their training. As a coach, how do you problem solve with your clients who come to you with some common aches, pains, injuries, some physical limitations, or previous traumas so they can still get the results that they want and the ones that they came to you for?
This is a really good question. So, as a coach and coaching people for as long as I have, I find that the best way to work around physical limitations, injuries, aches, pains, or even like self limiting beliefs is to really focus on getting the client to tell you what they believe they can do at the moment. And then keeping the basic principles that we know work, but kind of throwing the rule book out the window. I find that for a lot of coaches, especially those who maybe haven't been doing it as long, or they're really trying to quote unquote scale their business, they forget that we're talking to human beings, and humans and life and human emotions are much more complex than training textbooks and nutrition textbooks would teach us. So I find when it comes to things like training, if I can get the client to identify what movements they can do without pain, and I base most of their program around that, then it gives them the confidence that they can do this, and it also earns their trust. So then I can start to pepper in some of the things that they may need, and they will trust that I'm doing it in their best interest. So, for example, if someone has a knee that's bothering them and they claim, well, I can't do lunges, they hurt my knee. I'm not going to say, well, we should do lunges. I might say, well, what can you do that doesn't cause much pain? And if they say, I think I could do a goblet squat, okay, we'll start there. And then I make some tweaks to their form, to their technique. Maybe we start doing a little bit of mobility work that helps alleviate the knee or some primer stuff before we work out that the first few sessions. Now they're doing exercise without pain. They may now trust me when I say, hey, I think we might be ready to try a lunge. And I've had that happen several times with clients where they say they can't, absolutely cannot, or refuse to do something. And then after a few sessions, they're able to do it without pain, because I've earned their trust and they've built some confidence. It's the same thing with nutrition. If someone says, I can't eat the same thing every day, it's helpful to be like, well, what could you see yourself eating most of the time? Well, I really like making a turkey sandwich. Okay, let's start there. And once they prove to themselves they can do it for, 1 to 2 weeks, I go, you've been eating the same thing for lunch every day for 2 weeks. Don't you think maybe you could eat the same thing every day if you really wanted to? Oh yeah, I could probably do that. So I really like meeting them where they're at and getting them to identify what they feel comfortable with and then basing the program around that.
Just like we are, most of our clients are spending time on social media and can get information from other people in their family and social circles. When questions come up during coaching calls and training sessions, how do you address some of the common misconceptions around nutrition and exercise with these clients?
This is a good question. So, what I find as I've gotten deeper into my coaching career is that you just got to be honest with people. I think there's probably maybe a more by the book way to do this or a more psychological way, and I think there's a time and place for that. But at the end of the day, like I think just being upfront and honest with your clients is the best bet. So if someone comes to me with something that they heard or they read, I really make an intention not to make them feel stupid or laugh at them or anything like that. But I'll always, just ask questions like, "Oh, well, where did you hear that from? Does that sound like something that makes sense to you? Does that person oh, you heard that from your sister. Does she work out all the time? Is she in great shape? Does she have is she an example of the goals that you have for yourself?" And if the answer is no, it's like, okay, well, do you feel like that would work for you? So I just kind of ask questions and I'll just be straight up with them, like, yeah, well, that's not really 100% accurate because of this. So I find that if you are honest with people, not in a judgmental way, but you're just honest, hey, that really isn't correct because of this, and you give them an explanation, and then maybe you even give them a little bit of, I could see why that would make sense for some people, or that why that might work for you, but here's the reasons why it would, and here's the reasons why it would not. Then it really earns their trust and it gets them thinking outside the box a bit, as opposed to just being like, that's wrong, that's stupid, no, just listen to me. So I like to ask them follow up questions, give them the assurance that their head is in the right space because they're looking for answers, but then give them actual, honest feedback on why that misconception probably isn't what's best for them.
Our clients can come to us for many reasons, and often they tell us in their consultations or new lead questionnaire that they have multiple goals or they're trying to work on a couple of things. Usually it's not just one sole specific thing. How do you approach goal setting with these clients who have multiple objectives when you ask them about what their goals are?
I find that for clients, when they're setting goals and they have like multiple goals and some of them are conflicting goals, I think it's important to let them express that and then ask questions so that we get to the root of what the actual goal is. Because I think a lot of times what's happening is people are reaching out to a coach or they're hired a coach, they're in a very highly motivated place, so they're investing money and time, so they're kind of in this headspace of, I'm going to drain as or squeeze as much juice out of this as possible. So I want to lose 20 pounds, and I also want to be able to do a pull-up, and I also want to be able to run a 15K, and I also want to feel amazing at my cousin's wedding in 6 months, in 4 months. And they have all these things going through their head. So what I like to do is, first, before they even before they even start going down that rabbit hole, I like to frame up their mind as, hey, listen, let's kind of strip away the thought process of, in quotes, I'm in a program right now, and let's take that pressure off. Let's look at the next 3 to 5 years. What are some general things that you want to be able to do or you want to be feeling over consistently over the next 3 to 5 years? And generally, when you do that, it gets them back to kind of baseline where they're going, well, what do they actually want? They kind of want to feel better. They probably want to lose a little bit of weight. They want to be more consistent. They want to sleep better. And then what we start talking about is how basic this process can actually be. So I like to really focus on having those, those fun kind of checkpoints along the way where we can set those fun goals, but really just what is the overarching goal? What is the lifestyle goal that you're going for here? And then I like to chip that down into what are the 3 to 5 daily tasks that you need to be focusing on, and get them just really focused and consistent with checking those boxes, and sort of removing timelines and expectations around their goal. Not because they can't accomplish those goals or that the goals are impossible by any means, but just because we know life is going to throw hurdles at them. We know they're not going to be perfect at this. So I find if I can get them focused on a checklist versus goals, that they have a much better time and they're more consistent.
I believe all coaches should have similar baseline knowledge before starting to work with people. And I'm building Fitly to help bridge some of these gaps that exist in our exposure to education. What experiences or qualifications do you think are crucial for coaches to have in order to deliver the best service they can for their clients?
So I think I might have a kind of an interesting answer to this question. I think obviously everyone needs to have some sort of baseline certification, right? Like we need a personal training certification, or a nutrition certification if we're going to be doing nutrition coaching. Generally, I would point towards people towards maybe the better ones, like precision nutrition, for nutrition, or like Joe DeFranco certification for coaching, or Jason Brown certification for programming. But I think two of the biggest, I don't know if they're qualifications or experience, two of the biggest experiences coaches can have to give them the best service and deliver the best results for their clients. One is going to be actually coaching people. And I would lean towards doing that in person. So, no matter what certification you get or qualifications you have, even if you have a master's degree in, exercise science, you need to just get in front of people and actually listen to people and coach them through sessions and go through the ups and downs of the human experience, like see what people are like when their life is stressful, when they didn't get good sleep, when they tweak something. So, I think training people in person is a very crucial experience that coaches need to have. And the second one is life experience outside of the gym. I find that a lot of coaches, even really good ones, they can become so obsessed with their certifications, their business, their fitness, that they don't really live a life outside of their business and their training. And when you're doing that, you start to really lose sight of what day to day life is like. So, I'm not saying that if you're a 22-year-old trainer that you should go out and get married and have kids just so you can be a better coach. But you got to like live life a little bit. You got to allow life to happen a little while. You can't be a 23-year-old entrepreneur who thinks they have it all figured out. So, I think life experience is super important. Like, getting out there, going to social events, like being in relationships, eventually, if you want to, having kids or getting married, buying a house, maintaining a house, like all these things, I think are invaluable experiences that coaches can have, because you start to learn what it's like when fitness can't be your number one priority or your business can't be your number one priority. And it gives you better problem solving skills and empathy to help clients when you realize what it's like fitting in your workouts and fitting in your work tasks, when you have people depending on you, when you're taking care of others, when there's things in life that are a bigger priority than your own needs. So life experience and the experience of coaching people in person, I think, are crucial.
Our industry is evolving every step of the way, and we're getting to the point where it's essential to have some sort of technology within your business for both the experiences you can deliver for your clients and your ability to grow sustainably. How do you use technology to assist you in your coaching as a coach and behind the scenes as a coach that nobody really sees?
I'm not like a super technology person, but a couple of things that I use to help coach clients. One is going to be some sort of food tracking app. I think that's really helpful. So, like my Fitness Pal or Chronometer, something like that. I think having, like, for me, coaching my online clients, having something like True Coach or Trainerize where I can track their workouts has been really helpful. And then, other than that, maybe I mean, if you want to count these, I think they do count, but things like Loom videos responses to my online clients so they can actually see my face and hear my voice as opposed to just email. And then also some sort of step tracker. So those are things, and I don't use all of them for every single client, but those are some things that I recommend people can lean on to really help them. I don't think people need anything too complicated, but if you can track your food, you can be aware of your step count, and you can log your workouts. And then if you're a coach, if you can have some sort of system to communicate with your clients online that isn't just email, I think that really helps the coaching experience be better, but also get better results.
Adam, thank you so much for coming on and sharing some great info about yourself. Adam and I haven't currently met in person yet, but I've known about him for a while as he's interviewed a couple of my friends on his own podcast, and those episodes are the ones I've mostly listened to. And he's an impressive guy. So I encourage you to reach out to him. As you know from this episode, he is an awesome trainer and has the best interest of his clients laid out for his entire success. And I'm glad you got to know him a little bit more through this episode. Please check the show notes to see how to connect with Adam Best. And that's all for this episode. If you wish to learn more about FITLETE, possibly get your own episode on FITLETE Radio, visit fitlete.com. That's FITLETE.com. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.